Hi, this is Ruben Oliveira, and this is my PE 589 Physical Education and Exercise Science Capstone with Andrew Allstott, Fall 2, 2019. The topic is the impact of physical education, physical activity, and diet on the childhood obesity epidemic. The lack of daily physical activity and poor nutritional diets are being directly linked as primary causes of obesity in overweight children. 1/3 of children in the United States are considered to be obese. Currently, the highest rate of childhood overweight and obesity, or CHO, are children and adolescents of Hispanic background. The purpose of the study was to examine the impact that diet, physical activity, and physical education has on the body composition of Hispanic, low socioeconomic sixth grade students. The central research questions this study examined were as follows. What impact does diet have on body mass index, or BMI, in Hispanic low socioeconomic sixth grade students? What impact does physical activity have on BMI in Hispanic low socioeconomic sixth grade students? And what impact does physical education have on the BMI in Hispanic low socioeconomic sixth grade students? The first substantial research was by Chen et al. The purpose of the study was to examine the relationship between parents' social demographic characteristics and the food consumption of their children. The participants were recruited from predominantly Hispanic schools in a rural area of Texas. Surveys were completed by the parents of fourth grade 9 and 10-year-old children. The parents' social demographic characteristics such as ethnicity and income were the independent variables. They measured children's daily frequency of consumption for healthy foods such as skim milk, less healthy foods such as potatoes, and unhealthy foods such as soda. They found that parents' ethnicity, education, and income variables were strong predictors for children's food consumption. They were able to show that children's food consumption could be predicted by their parents' ethnicity, marital status, gender, education, and income. This study implies that the significance of exploring social-cultural aspects that impact acculturation within Hispanic communities. It's evident that healthy eating can help reduce childhood obesity. However, children of U.S. Hispanic parents eat less healthily. Therefore, culturally explicit education programs should be adopted for parents or families of Hispanic or Latino origin. The second substantial research was by Telford et al. The purpose was to research whether physical education administered by specialists contributed to the prevention of obesity and the academic improvement in elementary schools. The participants in this report were part of the Lifestyles of Our Kids study in Australia, which initially consisted of 62 third grade elementary school students from 13 schools over a 3-year longitudinal study. The procedures and methods, they had all the students received 150 minutes of PE per week. One group received 90 minutes of their PE through a PE specialist, while the other group received all 150 minutes with their regular classroom teacher. The students took government tests in writing, reading, and numeracy or math, and Telford et al. Used a linear mix modeling to determine if the group of the students who received PE instruction with physical education specialists contributed to the academic improvement and the prevention of obesity in elementary schools. They found that the PE instruction with PE education specialists correlated with a smaller increase in the age-related percentage of body fat, and they were able to compare common practice of PE. They also found a 10.9 point improvement in numeracy or math and a 10.1 point writing improvement score. This study relates to the study of obesity by revealing the importance of having physical education specialists to efficiently combat childhood obesity and in schools while also addressing the debate of whether physical activity time impedes on students' academic improvement by proving that it can actually improve student academic performance. And the third substantial research was by Cadzo et al. The purpose was to study whether school-based interventions programs improved health, reduced consumption of non-nutritional foods, and increased student physical activity and education, and educated students about healthful food choices. The participants was a cohort of 2,259 sample students from a low-income school district in Longport, New York, who had baseline and endpoint data measurements reported in the study. There were elementary, middle, and high school students in the cohort. 51% were female and 49% were male. The procedures and methods, the body mass index and BMI percentile of students were gathered once per semester for 6 semesters. There was a chi-square tests and paired sample t-tests, which assessed weight status change throughout the 3-year study. In the percent of students classified as obese or overweight, and Cadzo et al. Found an indication of weight status change among district students following the obesity intervention. Students categorized as obese at baseline measurement had a 3% decline from 98% to 95%, and students classified as overweight at baseline measurement had a 7% decrease in BMI percentile from 91 to 84%. The implication of the study is relevant to the overall topic of obesity in youth because it emphasizes significant reduction in student weight status utilizing school-based obesity interventions. The methodology of the current study, a quantitative method was used through the use of an electronic Google Form survey, which was shared with the 6th grade classroom teachers, who then shared the survey via email to the participating students. Each student responded individually and completed the survey in approximately 15 minutes. There were 67 male and female 6th grade physical education students, ages 11 to 12 years old, from a predominantly Hispanic low socioeconomic Title I elementary school in Southern California, where I work. The survey was called The Impact of Physical Activity and Diet on Body Composition, or the IPA-DOBC survey. It was a 4-part survey consisting of 3 demographic questions and 18 true-false Likert scale and multiple choice questions regarding student dietary, food and drink choices, physical activity, and physical education experiences and motivation. The results, some of the major themes and findings I discovered in the research were extremely high percentages of students are obese and overweight. Of the 67 participants, 25.4% were considered overweight and 28.4% were found to be obese. 48.5% of the girls were considered overweight or obese, while 59.4% of the boys were found to be overweight or obese. Some major findings about students' dietary choices: for the most part, they're not eating and drinking healthily. 76% of the students consumed at least one sugar-sweetened beverage, or SSB, per day. 37% consumed 2 SSBs per day. 80.6% of the students eat at least 1 serving of sweets daily, and 40.3% eat at least 2. 55% eat fast food at least 3 times per week. 87% consume at least 1 serving of fruit juice per day, and 51% consume at least 2 servings per day. Some positive health healthy food choices findings were that 95.5% of students ate at least one serving of fruit per day, and 44% had at least 3 servings of fruit per day. Also, 88% of students surveyed also ate at least 1 serving of vegetables, and 38.8% consumed 3 servings of vegetables. Some physical activity findings were that only 14.9% of the students attained 60 minutes of the daily recommendations of moderate to vigorous physical activity, or MVPA. 31.3% get 60 minutes at least 5 days per week, and 17.9% get 60 minutes of physical activity only 3 days per week. 77.6% run and play all or most of their time during recess, and 41.8% participate on sports teams outside of school. 58.2% don't participate in sports, and the current study also found that there's an adequate participation and motivation when students are in PE classes. However, the minutes that students participate in PE were per week, including with their classroom teachers, are very inconsistent. 68.7% indicated that they always participate in PE. 19.4% participate most of the time. 40.3% always play hard at PE, and 32.8% play hard most of the time. 25.4% strongly agree that PE classes motivate them to be more physically active, and 41.8% agree PE classes motivate them. Participation minutes in PE, only 22.4% participate 0 to 30 minutes per week. 34.3% participate in 30 to 60 minutes per week. Only 10.4% participate in 60 to 90 minutes per week, and only 16.4% participate in 90 to 120 minutes per week, and 16.4% participate in 120 or more minutes per week. A discussion, Chen et al. Study found that 28.5% of students average at least 1 sugary drink per day. And studies by Fang et al. Concluded the clear association of soft drink consumption with increased body weight, reduced intake of milk, calcium, and other essential nutrients, with an increased risk of several medical problems. Because these drinks are a major source of calories, a decrease in SSB consumption would assist in preventing weight gain. Even drinking SSBs once or twice daily may increase the odds of becoming or remaining overweight. The most consequential finding of the study indicated that children, on average, did not consume healthy foods daily. The most impactful finding of the study indicated that 76% of the students consumed at least 1 soda or other sugary sweetened beverages, or SSBs, per day, and 37% consumed at least 2 SSBs per day, which is far greater than Chen et al. Study. The current study also assessed the physical activity behaviors of 6th grade students. The results of the study indicated that children did not participate in an adequate amount of physical activity on average per day. The most substantial result indicated that only 14.9% of students surveyed are attaining the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, recommended daily 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity, and merely 31.3% are attaining the recommended 60 minutes at least 5 days per week. This is similar to Kim and Lochbaum's 2017 study, which found that despite well-established physical activity benefits, few students participated in sufficient physical activity during school days. Particularly, ethnic minority students from low socioeconomic status families, when compared to their counterparts, commonly show lower levels of physical activity and increased levels of sedentary behavior. The current sample students indicated that 50.7% always run and play, and 26.9% indicate that they run and play most of the time during their daily 20-minute recesses. Bale et al. In 2006 found that boys spent approximately 78% of their recess engaged in physical activity, while girls spent 63% of their time engaged. According to Feng et al., nationwide data has shown that childhood overweight and obesity affects 34.2% of children ages 6 to 11 and 34.5% of children ages 12 to 19. Hispanic American children ages 6 to 11 show an alarming 46.2% are overweight and obese, and 48.7% of Hispanic American boys are specifically at high risk of becoming overweight and obese, compared to 26.5% among non-Hispanic white boys aged 6 to 11 years old. An overwhelming 53.7% of the students in this current study are considered overweight or obese, and 59.4% of the boys are found to be overweight or obese, which are both substantially greater than national averages. The implications, recommendations, and future research. The current research offers insight into sixth grade students' diet and physical activity in low socioeconomic Hispanic communities. It's clear that students in the study are not eating consistent, healthy diets, with 76% of the students consuming at least 1 SSB per day and 37% consuming at least 2 servings per day. It's also apparent that students do not realize the possible health issues that may occur for being overweight or obese. Students don't seem to be aware of the recommended daily physical activity that's required to see healthful benefits. Some recommendations: the battle against childhood obesity desperately needs to be supported from schools and their families. School administrators could utilize this information by evaluating their policies on offering SSBs at school and during after-school activities. They should also evaluate their policies on foods high in sugars and fat. Administrators can also support students' health by allowing teachers an extra classroom activity break, which has been shown to be effective in increasing physical activity for children. Teachers can gain insight to their students' dietary habits and physical activity needs. Teachers can utilize this information to guide instruction on healthy food and beverage choices. They can provide their students with increased opportunities to get up and move about the classroom or take an activity break when they notice their students are losing focus or they just need a break. Teachers must also be vigilant about their students' snack choices during nutrition breaks, and follow through with parent communication whenever unhealthy choices are being made. Physical education teachers can utilize the research information to realize the importance of increasing moderate to vigorous physical activity in the limited time they do have with their students. They can also reinforce the importance of being physically active during recess and after school hours, and can teach fun, high activity games that students can play during their discretionary times to increase physical activity. Parents can use the information from the students or from the study to encourage them to model healthy behaviors for their children. They can also support their children's physical activity and provide them with healthy food choices, and also to restrict unhealthy food and beverage choices. Future research. Chen et al. Suggests that future studies on diet should also include a list of culturally appropriate foods and snacks for the target population To accurately track student food consumption, a list of culturally appropriate foods can be added to the student and parent survey questionnaires. Future research can include a student's dietary log in order to report an accurate recall of food consumption. Future studies can examine the effects of recess environments on physical activity during discretionary recess periods to provide educators with important strategies to use during recess to maximize daily physical activities. In conclusion, it's imperative that schools and educators lead the way by educating our students, parents, and communities about the significance of healthy and unhealthy food choices and the importance of daily physical activity in and out of school. Students, parents, and teachers and administrators also need to be aware of the dire possible consequences of child and adult obesity. It's imperative that awareness is brought to the attention of our school communities so that our students can live long, healthy lives and not be the first generation to not outlive their parents. Thank you, and I look forward to reading your comments and watching your presentations. Thank you.